Okay, we should get, good morning. Howdy. Welcome to the meeting of the Board of Directors for the Mayor's Fund of New York City. As most of you know, I'm Kate Smith, the Executive Director of the Mayor's Fund and President of the Board of Directors. I would like to call this meeting to order. And I would also like to ask if there's a motion for the board to approve the minutes of June 10th meeting of the Board of Directors.
I just have a note.
Yep.
Just my first name is spelled incorrectly. So, sorry, that's how I said the voice. That's okay. That's okay. Is it? Does he have an It's two E's. Oh, two E's. Two E's. Okay. Yeah, that's like just like that.
I thought we had an extra H. Just goes to Mike, right? Look, I'm here. So go.
I know.
Sorry. Other than that, this motion
Move as amended.
move is amended. Thank you. All in favor of the adoption of the June 10th meeting, say aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. Motion is passed. I'll now move on to new business. First, I'd like to introduce our newest board member, Luz Martinez. Welcome to the board.
Welcome, Lieutenant.
Welcome. Yay.
Now I know I did the right thing.
As your bio has been passed around, you heard.
Oh, good. It's an honor to be working with you. I'm looking forward to learn.
See, Bill, we listen.
Sorry?
We listen.
Yeah.
We had a more robust board and a more balanced board.
That's great. It is.
Yes.
We're
We're glad you're here. Yeah. Okay, so today we'll hear a presentation from the EFPR group, the fund's outside auditing consultants. So I'm going to turn the meeting over to Brent and John, who are, Amber, you may have to turn your, yes, who are zooming in. So take it away, Trez and John.
All right, thank you very much. I'm Jackson Permy. John Demergy is a manager with our team. I'm John Merkel, the presentation screen.
all right. Can everybody see that? It's taking up full screen? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. We're going to go through the same presentation with the IQ each in a much more brief format today. If there are any questions, you feel free to jump in and stop us at any point. Our job to go next slide. Today we're going to talk about the actual performance of the audits and data team and handling the procedures, as well as the ultimate financial results that we found in the financial report and then the licensing report to the board, which is a sort of calculate what the structured validity board performance right. So on the next slide. In February us, we always had two partners involved. I and Solomon engagement partner, and I really want to sign the board. That was their rule, was a technical review partner. He comes in as a fresh horizon and case below the whole decision when they got the audit and just ensures that they all meet the standard. And then John is engaging manager is on the day-to-day February 15. And then start. We foresee materials from your team Logic you our portal and reform this audit largely virtually. And in doing so, it really starts as early as request interview in July. Only the end of field work was M29, which allowed for us to look at our financials on October 6th and present here today with this forward. The probably the most important thing in our audit is we are issuing an unmodified or clean opinion of the financial statements with more findings, no significant deficiencies and injuries with no reportable items at any time. And John Tingle at Mutual SRs.
Okay, thank you, Ron. Good afternoon, everybody. For mentions, I'm John Kerr, the manager at Airport. I oversees the field work. The day-to-day, I was requesting all the necessary documents from Kate and Peter and the finance and management team at the Mayor's Fund, doing all sorts of testing to make sure
we could go through the numbers appropriately together. So we're going to go through the base financial statements on the financial statement drafts. There's a bunch of pages of notes after that. And then once we're done today, we'll have board approval and we'll be able to finalize these drafts financial fitness. So we're starting on page 10, your balance sheet or statement of net position. The number about this first slide, your assets, liability, and net position are right on June 30th, 2025, and right on June 30th, 2024. So they're a snapshot in times. These are the balances of these numbers right on June 30th. So they'll have changed a decent bit by now, now that we're into October, but stepping in the time machine and looking at the end of fiscal year 25, fiscal year 24. So, cash is all in one most important six for bond group or business. And you can see the cap amount would decrease a bit from the end of 24 to the end of 25, a little over $2 million. What's requiring about explanation for that? One of the things is time. So it just depends on some kind of the time of when you receive your grants or you receive your donations, at the time when you pay your bills or invoices, payroll and things like that. So something that's consistent and makes sense to the decrease of cash is the line right below. You can see attributions and grants receivable or $2.1 million as of 2025, as opposed to only $500,000 at the end of 24. And that would really hit up of just one big payment you were waiting on still, some Bloomberg Family Foundation for about $1.89 million. That was their last payment on that ring. And we did see that ended up being received a month or two afterwards. So their money is now already received by now. Your receivables are probably lower at this point, and cash is it's obviously even for that rates. Another thing is the consistent spending of a lot of restricted revenue you received in fiscal year 24. There's a big net of in 24 for a lot of grants to got received. And a lot of the restricted program grants were that was spent during the course of 20 bucks. So you can see down at the bottom in the net position section, your restricted net assets have decreased. That's opened up some more unrestricted net assets. And again, it makes sense. You're sitting on a lot of cash at the end of last year. A lot of spending for those probables, the event was done in fiscal year 25. Investments, you can see a slight increase in investments from the end of last year to the end of this year for 10.6, so a little over $10.7 million. So that's the fair value of the investments is increased. On top of that, you had dividend and interest income that you're able to draw monthly and use for operations as well. So positive good year for the intermediate duration bond fund that the main fund is involved in. And then liabilities, you can see, take a look on that side above. Your liability really just payables and accrued expenses. So all the redundant program related invoices that are outstanding at the end of the year. There was one really big one that made up a large for you're gonna have 1.1 million. I'd mentioned it years, but it's just a lot of different program related invoices. The one ratio or tabulation we can take a look at for the help of a lot of nonprofits or did their bid the data sheet that banks or funding sources might review is the current ratio. This just compares the current assets and the current liability from the LAPI, puts it in ratio format. Anything for a LT business or fund and anything over a 1-to-1 ratio, you can see Mayor's Fund well above that the last 5 years to that 15.73 at the end of 25. So it just shows you're not a lot of current debt or not a lot of current liability that need to be covered by all of that investment and cash up in the short. We talked about the investments did pretty well in 25. It done pretty well in 2044 as well, as is the case. There's a lot of different investments, my core 1K included. You can see 2022 was a dip in how Foundation Fund did. Just a decrease in the fair value of the fund right at 2022.
Started to recover well ever since, but just a snapshot. We want to continue to show of the investment train, depending on how the market does and how the mayor's some societies have done and by get there. The next page of the financial statements will be your income statement or your statement of revenue and expenses. So this shows the entire fiscal year 25 and the entire fiscal year 24. The revenue and expenses for each year. So we can see operating revenue decreased a bit from last year to this year. You just received less big donations and contributions during 25 compared to the previous year. But how we sort of talked about before, program expenses get interest. So program expenses increased a little over $1 million to about $9.4 million in 2025. And something to be expected with all of the restricted grants that were received in fiscal year 24. As you receive that money on one, you send it on the programs. It goes back out in the community on the mission and the programs that money is designed to do. All the members of the city and carry out every Aiken Mayor's Fund is looking good here to help it. Management in general, fundraising decreased a bit from last year to this year as there were some director positions that were open, some that were removed. We'll expect to see now. We'll expect to see as the director position get filled or redistributed. The management general fundraising expenses can fluctuate. Well, salary and related expenses decreased about $245,000 from last year to this year. You can see that in footnote 7, or it breaks out the expenses even further. From assignment, having a non-operating sector, you got the standard City of New York contract. That's $700,000 in the fund review every year. And then investment income increasing about $170,000 from the downs at the end of 24 to the down in 25. And your interest income of about $500,000 in that pop fund generate for coin up. So overall, you can see the very large net income machine in that position, 2.7 in 2024. And then that's what a decrease. So you had a net loss in fiscal year 45 of about $186,000. So bill income over the last 2 years combined, but it's kind of the timing of all the revenue and donations showing up at those 2 lines as well. Fonzie Water, under cancellation ratio, we do these presentations for non-profits or government agencies that are designed to assist the community and provide services opposite is a comparison of the program costs and the percentage of total attendance. So on the statement of activities, you have your program, management, general, and fundraising, and all the expenses of Mayor's Fund in 2025, 96% of those were considered program. The other number can be a bit subjective, depending how KAP put together. The functional expenses can be different than how one or nonprofit puts together their functional expenses. Sometimes the CFO is all admin on a D. Sometimes they're partially fundraising, partially program. But the allocations can vary or agency to agency. It's not a completely subjective number, but it's something that you're circumscribing that. And a fan chart that we see a lot of times from the Data Bureau, it's held above the 75% program incentives. While similar organizations to yours are typically about 90% start. So as something we see over the last 5 years, it's been real to show donor payload. When you donate $1 here, 96 cents on that dollar goes right back into the program. It's designed for it, goes right into assisting citizens businesses. But beyond the state's financial statements, there's a bunch of billions and else. They detail add some numbers we discuss a little further. They talk about accounting policy and any upcoming standards. Any questions on it? But
feel free to jump in. Feel free to ask me or Brent to email or give us a call. But after the statements and the footnotes, there's a few other boilerplate or required waters we've asked to issue with your financial statements. One is a government auditing standards opinion, or the GAGS opinion. We're nowhere in your prior year economies. So that's us taking a look at the government agency. Here's the piece of testing to look at these controls to make sure control property effectively for the bank. So manager required. So previously, manager just a confidential letter. Some banks will do at the end of the audit. We bring the document to the attention of the board, but doesn't get issued anywhere with these financial statements. So just a confidential letter. If we put it right and provide. Last year, in a management letter, we discussed as the AmeriGorps program and the federal nets. No need to be tracked very meticulously. The residence census has to mention all proper system years. Last year in the AmeriGorps program, we had to do a lot of adjusting and things to get that number correct. That program has since been kind of say out of the near funds, so that issue cleared up this year, and we didn't have that management letter signing this year. And even beyond just the AmeriGorps program, this year was a better year by your finance team of making sure revenue and expenses were tracked and accrued properly. We will obtain a manager's representation letter finalized. So that's 1 or 2 pages that right after this meeting is over or finalized, I'll send that letter over to Kate to sign. And it basically says that everything we asked for during the audit, all the questions we asked were honored, or were answered truthfully, and all the application we asked for was provided to us in a timely fashion, and basically nothing was withheld from us. And after we finalize the statements in full, we'll discuss the 990 and the catches. Lastly, with the re-audit, there's a 2-page report to the board documents that goes in the back. And again, that just talks about if there were any new accounting policies adopted, which there were not fiscal year 25. And it mentions that all accounting estimates. So some of the receivables we got, not the ranks, we have to work under the assumption you're going to receive those, or they're recorded as receivable. So we talk with management, the finance team, and make sure any text estimates like that are reasonable and scored, and that you expect to receive that those. And from our perspectives, they were reimbursable. And then overall, we had no difficulties in performing our audit or disagreements with that simple thing. So Peter, Lariah, and Kate were very prompt in getting us everything we needed through the course and the end of the summer through the fall to get this fine line out. We really appreciate it. I'm sure you, the board, appreciate it. We'll hit these deadlines and have these presentations right on time in the end. So it was a pleasure working with them as we have for the last few years, and up forward to next year. But finally, there was 1 or 2 small adjusters in the very beginning of it. It were a great economy between man, but yeah, the key. So that means there wasn't anything we want to regret that Peter, they said, no, we don't want to do that. We worked together on revenue and read all the numbers. Oh, here. Any questions for Ray or myself? Feel free to let us know now, shoot up an email, or give us a call.
Questions?
Thank you very much, and we'll talk soon. Should we? Here, you who's I'm gonna just get. All right.
I'm sure that you will.
Okay. Thank you. So I would like to ask if there's a motion from the board. Yeah. I think just there. We just minimize it at the top because where'd you say it's adapted? Great. Is there a motion from the board to adopt the funds audit for the 2025 fiscal year?
Sure, I'd move for that.
Second? All in favor of the adoption of the FY 2025 audit, say aye. Anyone opposed can say nay. All right, aye. The motion is passed. So the next item on the agenda is a presentation by the Mayor's Office of Early Child Care from Amber Cartwright. So Amber, go ahead. You have the,
I think.
okay.
Good morning, everyone.
And so, just a background out. We usually had an agency or mayoral office who had worked with the fund to either pilot a program or bring in new funders to come and share the clinical of the fund and the work themselves. So they have been partnering with the fund. In this case of the childhood education, some major organizations have been partnering with us in an effort to build out the office as well as continue the work that we do in partnership with New York City Public Schools. How's that? Fair?
Thank you for that context. I appreciate it. As Kate mentioned, my name is Amber Cartwright. And what I'd like to do today is just kind of bring your attention to the inception of the office, what we're taking on, and then be available for any questions that you might have. I'm still fairly new to the office. This feels like it has flown by. But I'm excited to be able to kind of usher in a new set of work. So as Deputy Mayor Avazar mentioned, the office was initially funded by the Robin Hood Foundation. And we have continued to work with them in thinking about kind of how we evolve the identity. The office was initially launched in February 2023. And I think the inception of it was to strategically and plan with city agencies. So that's the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, that's New York City Public Schools, that's ACS, occasionally that's the Buildings Department, et cetera. And I think since the office's founding, we have found an opportunity to coordinate with families and providers to better understand their needs and to coordinate across such a fractured system. So our mission is to expand access to affordable, high-quality care and early education. And we work with agencies, providers, advocates, and families to build a more cohesive and equitable system. So a lot of our functions include leading strategy and coordinating across city agencies. We convene and engage families, providers, additional stakeholders to surface needs and be able to address them in a way that kind of supports our overall stability for families and providers. We strengthen data systems and support system integration across city agencies. We conduct research, and occasionally we incubate ideas, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Our work is divided across 4 focus areas: that's centering family needs, providing, or rather fueling provider success, building better systems for better system processes, and advancing policy and research and innovation. The work that I'll feature now kind of buckets in or fits into those buckets. So the work connected to centering family needs, some of this you may have heard of before, some of it you won't, and hopefully you'll have questions, is launching the My City Child Care Portal, holding public events for families to understand child care services and how to apply and access them, supporting the 10-point plan, implementation, oversight, and baseline funding for child care. We launched an additional outreach and enrollment initiative, and we are preparing to launch a shelter navigation pilot for families who are unhoused to ensure that they know what child care is available to them and how they can access it. So as a result of a lot of this work, we have received 130 applications through the Child Care Portal and been able to help 62,000 families actually acquire child care in families' bodies and seats. We have secured $100 million for child care funding, that a lot of it of which has been baselined, and I think that is a significant investment and has not received the recognition it deserves. So I want to be able to say that now. Our outreach and enrollment initiative, with the help of $3 million and the partnership of 19 CDOs, we've been able to fill an additional 25,000 New York City public school seats. So those are 3K and pre-K seats. And with $160,000 and largely funded by Robin Hood, we are working with 2 CBOs to actually provide what we call a child care navigator. So they work specifically with families who are unhoused to understand what child care setting they need or best apply for, where it is in their immediate area connected to the shelter, and then they support them with the application process, any additional supporting documentation, and actual placement. The work connected to fueling provider success is anchored in 2 projects. One is the establishment, the design, establishment, and launch of a child care advisory group, and a partnership with the Efficiency Office. As a result of this work, we have been able to find 25 providers and advocates, and we bring our city agency partners, and we meet quarterly to kind of identify what areas of concern need to be addressed and how to best do that, basically on a policy front, on a funding front, how we can actually coordinate and bring more cohesion and stability to the system. I am proud to announce that work under DM Anna resulted in more flexibility for providers as to how they use their staff. Prior to DM Anna pushing this initiative, program directors were forced to have their educational leadership be on site between 8 and 10 hours. That's a long day, right? And I think that she advocated for the city to be responsive to the fact that leaders needed more flexibility. And so as a result, we now have more flexibility as to a substitute educational director and flexibilities around the amount of hours that the person needs to be on staff. This is necessary because one of the biggest challenges I think our city faces is a workforce issue. And so being able to provide leaders more flexibility as to how they use their staff and being responsive to the issues that have come up, I think is commendable and hopefully will demonstrate a desire to want to stabilize. Additionally, the Office of Child Care and the Efficiency Office has helped to expedite background checks. So before this office existed, oftentimes providers would need to, as a part of our practice, we submit background clearance, and 20% of those would be completed within the mandated 45 days. As a result of our partnership with the Office of Efficiency, we have been able to kind of look at our processes, think about efficiencies, and now 75 to 80% of those background checks are now completed within the 45-day requirement. Building better city processes. With $1 million from OMB funding, the office will launch a child care hub and a unified map. Right now, if you are a parent looking for care, you have to go to different city agencies to find out what's available. And so our office is actually consolidating all of that information in partnership with the city agency. And so, seeking information from ACS and New York City Public Schools, we are coordinating with OTI to actually kind of build out a portal so that parents can understand what services are available to them, whether they're eligible, how they may go about finding it, and then the map actually features all of the care across the city, not just one type of seat or one type of funded service available. This is expected to launch in December. And the expected outcome is that we will ultimately streamline access to child care information for thousands of families, regardless of their income, regardless of their need. The last area, advancing policy research and innovation, created in 2023, the office helped to develop the Child Care Center Property Tax Abatement Program, which has helped to create roughly 5,000 seats across New York City. We have proposed and advocated for changes to this from 100,000 to 300,000 for non-desert childcare. That means that there's a robust availability, and for 250,000 to 750,000 for childcare deserts. This is really trying to promote providers and businesses interested in providing childcare to go into the spaces where it is most needed and to grow their business where there seems to be robust availability. The program extension now is set to run from 2025 to 2027, and the bill is currently at the governor's office. So in summary, the office continues to strengthen families' ability to access affordable childcare. We're working to stabilize the current system with baseline investment made in this administration. And we're reducing will continue to reduce administration for providers so that those who are interested in offering high quality feel that there is a space for them at the table to do so. Together, we are building a strong, more sustainable early childhood ecosystem for New York City families.
Thank you. Are there any questions? No, as a former background, on the provider side, the way that the system has been built is that you have a nonprofit sort of umbrella organization that contracts with the city, and then they have subcontractors, and that's what, so usually the small businesses that have a bit more challenging doing direct business with the city in terms of their ability to have a fiscal office, a financial a director. So they have the connection with the nonprofit, and we have worked both with the Office of Child Care and the New York City Public Schools and the Office of Nonprofit Services to make sure that we clear some of the contracting challenges that the city has faced for a decade now, and helping them to be the liaison between their umbrella organization, the New York City Public Schools, and the city as a whole. So we have to navigate all of those red tapes. And then on the family side, and if you were to look at the map of child care services now, there are different points of entries, and depending on your need, your family size, your income, the age of your child, what kind of care you're looking for. And one of the items that Amber spoke about was how we're looking to consolidate that to post it to one page. But it's really because you're a family, if you just go and say, like if you're filing a passport application, right? Here's my age, I'm renewing a passport, and the application itself is just so fulfilled, that's the dream. And the family, they're just going to respond as to what will be the best match for you and your family or that child. Is there family-based child care? Is your child has a special need? If so, then here's a different route. But it's a very complicated system that we have been spending a lot of time trying to streamline both for the providers and for the families who receive care. And thanks, Ron, but you gave me credit, but it was a group effort to work with all the agencies that launch child care, and that includes the fire department, the Department of Building, the OHMH, New York City Public Schools, and else. And that work with the Department of Health and trying to eliminate some of those red tape when it comes to designing whose directors are in the classroom for 10 out. It was it was an effort by the entire team. So don't be there. Got it. Yeah. Thanks.
Yes. Any other questions for Amber?
What year did it start? Did this just start this year?
So the office was started in 2023, yes. And I started, and I started in March.
Right. So impressive. Yeah. You should put a timeline on your presentation. You sure will never know from what you've gotten done.
Yeah. The office, I am very proud of the team. I wish that I could take more credit, but Toba Gottesman and Aaron Yarbrough, I think, have done the Herculean effort in really kind of advocating for the child care tax abatement, launching My City Child Care Portal, developing and investing and fostering the relationships that we have with New York City Public Schools, that we have with ACS, that we have with the Departments of Health and Mental Hygiene. So I think for me, and I feel privileged and honored to be able to step into fertile ground and figure out what is the fertilizer necessary to build on the successes that the team has been able to establish.
I have to acknowledge you. That was a very thoughtful statement.
Yeah, yes.
Because he was being generous to you. Yeah, he was generous to his staff. I really appreciate that.
We want to hire the most humble people. It's child care.
Yeah.
Is family care part of the whole constellation also?
So we are working with CCNRs, and we want to do more of that. We are a team of 5. We're finally gotten fully staffed, and I think that there are sectors of the child care ecosystem that there is opportunities for us to really kind of figure out. Our Child Care Advisory Board has family child care on it. It has home-based service on it. We were pretty thoughtful in making sure that the entire system was reflected. And I think that that's important because as being a former family provider myself, being a former early childhood teacher, being a former Head Start kid, being a former Head Start director, I understand that having a seat at the table makes all the difference in the world in policy.
Yeah,
That was a long way to answer your question.
no. The reason I asked you that is because I was a Head Start first teacher. Not a Head Start child. I'm too old for that. But I ran a Head Start program in East Harlem for 100 years ago. What I was interested in was in family care. I know that there's training for the family care provider.
Yes.
And I was thinking about a correlation between some of our grandparent training programs and that family care. You know, I keep pushing for an age-inclusive city. So wherever we can have some of those overlaps, it'd be great in the time that we have if we could at least look at that as a possibility.
Yeah. I think that is one thread to when we talk about we contracted care, the voucher care. We have to acknowledge that there are a number of families that would prefer their children to be with a family member. Culturally, that is what we understand to be good quality care. And I would like during the time that I'm with the city to really kind of open up that conversation and think about all of the settings and how do we support as a city the various types of models and honor them. So whether they have a Department of Health and Mental Hygiene license or not, and make sure that they have a seat at the table so they know that there are supports available to them.
And perhaps we can get a meeting together with some of the big providers that house the family child care centers, like Hispanic children and families, Chinese American Planning Council, Nuestros Niños and Hispanic families and children. They have a big conference every year at the end of October, early November, where they bring 400 family child care providers in one room. And if we can tease that number soon beforehand and perhaps bring them once that conference will be a great idea, because indeed a lot of the providers are multi-generational. Usually the mom starts with a couple of kids, then the child realizes, another 20-year-old, hey, there's a business model here, can we invest in and grow it? And the child or the son, in this case I'm using Kevin as an example, whose parents started with a one child care center, and now he has a conglomerate throughout the city, just showcasing how it can be transferred from one generation to the next.
We also try to acknowledge the child care providers during Child Care Appreciation Week in November. We usually had either a breakfast or lunch where we kind of bring child care together to, just acknowledge the work that they do.
Okay, it's true. And we will invite you, Commissioner, to our Child Care Advisory Group that is happening late October 28th. To the conversation that we have here in this room, usually late in the evening, to accommodate precisely the family child care providers who finish their day at 6 o'clock. But we'll send you the info. It's exciting work.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Amber.
Yes.
And as we conclude new business, and also I'm thrilled to introduce Mahmoud Enan, who's right here. It was our new Director of Finance and Operations. So, yes, he started on Monday, and I feel like, yes. So, we're very excited to have him. So, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Motion second. All in favor say aye, or opposed say nay, and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.